Welcome to the Path to Mindset Mastery. My name is Brad Bizek. I'm a mindset strategist and coach, international inspirational speaker, and creator of Appreciation Academy. And today is all about a lesson that you might not like very much. It's about something that might take what you're doing and throw a little curveball in there and make you second guess exactly how you're going about things. And that's okay, because that's where growth happens. It happens when you get uncomfortable, when you're doing something that you might not necessarily like doing. And so I want to share a story with you. And I see this in multiple different things. But about a year ago, I was on the phone with someone in one of my one-on-one relationships. And I work with a handful of people every year one-on-one. And I was on the phone with them, giving them advice about how their business, if you looked at it this way, it would go completely different. And I was giving advice about a blind spot that person might not be able to see. And it was instantly met with resistance, instantly met with, no, that's not the right way, instantly met with, I'm not going to listen to that. And it's interesting that that happened, because I'm glad the person decided to break those walls down and actually listen, because the business went in a totally different direction and they ended up having success. But the problem is, if that person were to continue to do those things, they would have found themselves in the exact same spot in their life. I remember when I started working with coaches and mentors, I made the mistake of thinking that just because I hired a coach and a mentor, that I would become successful. And that's not true. Because, so let's just say, for example, you go on the journey of getting rid of all the mindset blocks. You've gotten rid of the inner conflict, you've gotten rid of the limiting beliefs, and you're genuinely appreciating the journey of building your business. Let's say you're doing that. Let's say you're on the right path, and you're going about it, and you're doing the best that you can do. One of the best ways, and because 80% of success is psychology, 20% is mechanics. Let's say you got the psychology part down, you're doing pretty good. And you need some mechanics, some different way of thinking, a different way of doing things. And actually that will apply to your mindset as well, because there's mindset strategies. But let's say that you want to skyrocket your results. Let's say you want to get results way faster than you ever did before. The fastest way to go about that is to get a role model, a mentor, someone who has gone before you and done it, and pay for that advice. In fact, you will not find one person with an unbelievable amount of success that hasn't paid for coaching. You have to find some way, shape, or form to get some sort of coaching, whether it's through me or through someone else, at some point in your life, if you want to take your life to the next level. And so the reason for this is because that mentor, that guide, can shrink a decade or more into a couple of days, or one aha moment that can shrink years off your learning curve and make it so much faster. But the common mistake that people fall into is thinking that just because they hired a coach, just because they bought that course, just because they are going to that seminar, that their life is going to change, that they're going to be successful, they're going to have all the money, the finances that they want. And that is not true. It's not true. Just because you hire someone doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. There's one thing, one ingredient that will make or break, and I have this on all of my applications for one-on-one coaching and group coaching. There's one thing that will make the difference on if you'll actually see results with a coach. And it's really, really simple, or a course or anything. And that is called being coachable. Being coachable. It is one of the most important pieces. Because when you go through and let's say you've been doing something a certain way and it's not going the way you want, but you're doing the stuff and you're getting something for it, meaning you're getting some emotional reward for doing it that way, proving a limiting story true that you're not enough, right? Or maybe you're getting some financial reward, or whatever you're getting out of doing it a certain way. The minute someone challenges that belief, you start to put up resistance, right? You start to say, no, that can't be true. A coach's job is to look at what you're doing and seeing where you might be getting in your own way that's stopping you from seeing success. And to bring up beliefs, or to uncover some beliefs that you currently believe that might not be true, that aren't serving you. For example, is the sky blue? Is the sky blue? And most people would go, yeah, it's blue, right? It's absolutely blue. But is it blue when it's cloudy? Is it blue when it's about to thunderstorm? Is it blue when there's a sunset outside? Is it blue when there's a night sky? No, it's not. So that's a simple example. But all I did was give you a different way of thinking about the sky being blue. Elevate that to something you've been doing over and over and over and over and over again in your business, doing it a certain way, and then that coach, that mentor that you paid tells you that you're doing it all wrong, or that you're going about it in a different way than you should be. instantly what's going to happen is resistance goes up. And if resistance goes up to you changing, it's a good sign that you need to change. And to all my perfectionists out there, to all my people that are A-type personalities out there, you're not going to like this result. But if you are not willing to be coachable and follow the advice of someone that's done what you're trying to do, you will not be successful. You're going to have a really hard time. You're going to pay all this money to get a coach, a mentor, a guide, and then you're not going to apply what they talk about. And you're going to fall into a similar spot to where you were. It's so important that you are coachable when you are in these relationships. And it doesn't even need to be in a coaching relationship. It means like when you read books, when you focus on things that, when you go and listen to podcasts, listening to that advice will help you move forward in your life. But what do we do when we read through something? We go, interesting, and then we move on. But we don't actually apply it constantly. In my business, I am always seeking out people that think I'm doing it wrong. Always. I'm always trying to find a different opinion. I'm always trying to find someone that's going to challenge my existing beliefs. And here's the thing. You don't need to accept when someone challenges a belief. If someone says, no, that's wrong, you should go about it this way, I'm not saying that you need to listen to the advice. What I'm saying is that you need to be coachable in the sense of, okay, if I were to apply that, how would my life be different? And how would it change? Because a coach has the beautiful ability to call out what are called blind spots. And when you're driving a car, what do you have? You have blind spots. These are areas you can't see in your mirrors, right? Well, we don't have the ability in real life to look into a blind spot. We need someone to see it from a different perspective, a way that we're not seeing it yet. Let me give you a huge example that changed my whole life. When I took a leap of faith and invested in my personal growth and got a mentor, a guide, I maxed out my last credit card to get it. And I remember when I did it, I was talking to her about how I was so stressed out because I'm reading the books, I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing all this stuff, but I'm so frustrated that my life and my business isn't where I want it to be. And she said something so simple and so profound. Before I tell you what she said, I remember thinking in that moment when she gave me this advice, when she was about to tell me it, I was thinking like, there's something wrong with me. It's not working for me. Because doesn't it feel good in a way to say that there's something wrong with you? Well, newsflash, my friend, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken and no one needs to fix you. It's not about that. It's about you being coachable. So in that moment, I remember thinking, okay, if she's going to give me this advice, I have to try it on. She said something so simple and so profound, it changed my whole life. She said, Brad, business success and money isn't going to create happiness for you. Happiness is going to create success. Stop focusing so much on becoming successful. Start focusing on becoming happy. And so what she was challenging me to do was change my entire way of thinking. My entire paradigm for how my life should be playing out, because I thought that I had to push success and push success and push success and force it and make it happen. But I'm telling you guys, it's not so much of what you force, it's what you let go of. That's one of the biggest things that make you successful. And so I remember thinking, if I'm going to accept this advice, that means completely changing my methodologies about everything. And I don't know about you, but the devil you know is way less intimidating than the devil you don't know. Which is why when someone gives you advice to change, you instantly put your guard up and you don't like the advice. And it almost like is a dig on your ego. Well, guess what your ego's job is to do? It's to keep you safe. You don't enter a coaching relationship to feel safe. You go to therapy to feel safe. There's nothing wrong with therapy. That's not what I'm saying. A coaching relationship is not about getting you to feel safe. A coaching relationship is about challenging you to be better. That's what a coaching relationship is. It's about making you better in some way, shape, or form. And so that's going to require you thinking completely differently. And a lot of times we think that there's this huge mountain to climb. I'm going to need to force success and force success and force success. Like it's this big mountain to climb. And when we look at it that way, it seems like it's going to take forever to get to that goal. It seems like it's going to be insanely hard to do it. But a lot of times we're going about it from the perspective of what is it going to take from our current mindset, not the mindset of this adopted methodology. And if you would try on what your coach and your mentor says and just give it a shot and you do it, it might be something that you can achieve something beautiful like next week or the next month when it would have taken you 5-10 years in the past. simply because your methodology changes. Think about it like you're watching a movie. If you're watching a movie, that you're seeing the movie that's playing on the screen, right? And let's say you're watching a dramatic movie or a thriller, and you want there to be some sort of resolution where everyone lives. I learned this, by the way, from Gabby Bernstein. I did not create this idea. And you want the movie to play out a certain way. And you're like, no, don't go down that dark alley. No, don't go about it this way. No, you should never do it. Why are you walking down in the basement when there's someone with a chainsaw down there in your underwear? It doesn't make sense, right? You're trying to make sure that the character makes it till the end, right? And it's like this stressful situation where you're trying to make it work out and you can't see a hope for them even though you want to change so bad. Well, most of the time, that's how life goes for a lot of people. And they go through life seeing life through that same lens. Like there's never going to be a way out. And it's going to take forever to become successful. But what would happen if you ended up going to the back of the room and taking off that film and putting on a romantic comedy or a comedy or a happy drama or The Pursuit of Happiness by Will Smith, right? Or whatever it is, right? You can choose what film to put on that projector. And from that film you put on the projector, there's an entirely different scene on screen. The reality of your life is entirely different. But because we paid for the movie ticket, we're here, we've been invested in our growth, we want this to work, we want to see this film through to the end. But that's not how success works, that's not how entrepreneurs work. What you have to do is go back to the back of the room, switch the movie that's playing, and start playing a movie that will lead you to that life that you want so much faster. And that's what a coach will do for you. They will show you what movie reel you should probably put on instead of one that's holding you back. But because you paid for the movie ticket, you don't want to accept that advice. You want to see Jurassic Park 3. You don't want to go and see Pursuit of Happiness. Does that make sense? But you need to be willing to change theaters or to change reels if you want your life to change. You have to be coachable. Lack of coachability will keep you stuck in the same spot because you're going to keep doing things the same way that you've been doing them. And ask yourself this, is what you're doing working? Is what you're doing working? If I'm ever on the phone with someone and we're talking about getting their life to move forward and they meet me with resistance, it's a sign that they're not willing to be coachable. And I can predict how it's going to play out. It's not that they're going to have a bad life. It's that they're going to wind up in the same spot 6 months from now. And so ask yourself, is that where you want to end up? Do you want to end up 6 months from now in the exact same spot that you are now? If you want that to change, you have to A, get a mentor, get a guide, something that's going to teach you how to think differently. And then once you have that thing, actually apply it. So many people say, I'm doing so much personal growth, but I'm not seeing the results. How much of that personal growth are you applying? That's where people go wrong. I would rather have you read one page in this book, and apply it to your life than read the entire book. It's so important. So many people say, I'm doing so much personal growth. No, you're reading and spending time flipping through chapters in personal growth. When's the last time you sat down and did the exercise? Let me give you an example right now. In my notebook, this is the exercise from today's lesson in personal growth. And if you are listening to the podcast here, it's an entire page filled out with notes applying what this woman is saying and asking myself, how can I change my life with that methodology? Because this book is challenging me to think differently. It's a different way than I've been thinking. I've been trying to make success happen instead of let go of things, and I get caught up in that trap sometimes. So I'm seeking out advice from someone who has what I want and using what they've done to make my life better. But ask yourself, are you actually applying the growth that you're experiencing, or are you paying for a miracle? And what I mean by that is, are you paying money to make someone else solve your problems? Or you think that just from investing in someone, you're going to wake up tomorrow and be a completely different person? It's not how it works. It has to be you put your time and energy into changing. Once you do that and you become coachable, you switch that sky blue idea, you switch that movie reel idea, then you start seeing a completely different film. And if you see a different film, from a completely different perspective, all of a sudden you can have the emotions, the success, everything you want so much faster than you ever would have if you kept watching a horror movie. And that is how successful people become successful. They do the stuff that they pay others to teach them how to do. And by the way, if you are not willing to pay others to teach you how to do something, you're not willing to be coachable. You'll not find one successful person that did not invest in their own personal growth before they were comfortable doing it. You have to. You absolutely must take time and say, you know what? I know this is scary. I know this is a risk, but I know that this person has what I want, so I'm going to listen to their advice and go after it with everything I can. I do it on a regular basis. I have plenty of one-on-one clients that do it on a regular basis. You need to do it too, because when fear dominates your life, what emotions do you feel on a regular basis? Anxiety, worry, stress, boredom, scarcity, all these horrible things, right? Well, are you going to be able to build a business from those emotions? No. So stop letting fear run your life and start letting faith run your life. And what I mean by that isn't going to church. What I mean by that is trusting that it's going to work out. Trusting that it's going to be okay. Trusting that it's always been fine and always will be fine. If you do that when you invest in a mentor or a guide or a coaching relationship, if you trust that it's going to be okay and this person knows what they're talking about, again, you don't need to listen to everything they say, but at least be willing to learn from them instead of resisting what they say. When you do that, the game changes forever. So change that movie reel. Switch it out by getting advice from someone who's gone before you and done the work. And when you do this, your life can change forever. So I hope you took a lot away from this episode today. This was kind of a heavy one because it challenges a lot of what you're thinking, a lot of how you're doing. One of the things I'm doing right now, by the way, if you'd be so kind, if you found value in this episode, if you head to my podcast on iTunes or wherever you're listening from, give it a rating and review, a star rating, whatever you feel is appropriate, and a review, a written review, and then email me at brad@bradbizjack.com telling me that you did it with an attached screenshot. What I'm going to do then is enter you into a raffle to win a $50 Amazon gift card, just a little prize I'm doing. So I really appreciate the rating and review. What that's going to do is allow more people to hear this message, more people can be served, more people can be helped. So thank you so much for tuning into the Path to Mindset Mastery today. Hope you took so much away from this. Go out there today and every day and live your life with a genuine smile on your face. And when you're willing to be coachable, it's really easy to do that. I'll see you next week.